Hello and welcome back to another legendary and a very instructive chess game played between two chess legends playing as white, Louis Paulsen and his opponent Paul Morphy. Very instructive game you will gain a lot from, so without further ado we will go straight into the game. Louis Paulsen opened the game with e4, we have e5 on the board, knight to f3 and knight to c6 was played for Paul Morphy. Paulsen continues with knight to c3 and black played knight to f6. We are in 4 knights game. Bishop b5 was played for white and Paul Morphy continues with bishop c5. Game continued with castle here for white. Now you might be wondering after bishop to c5 if white had this option here after d takes on c6, if knight takes on e5 was available. Unfortunately not. The point is that this move is not working because after this move white has this defensive move, but after knight to e5 black has bishop takes on f2 check, and after king takes on f2 queen d4 check, double attack, and you pick up the knight and you have much better position. So after bishop to c5 this doesn't work and white went to castle, black went to castle as well, and right now we finally have knight takes on e5 for white. In this position, Paul Morphy played rook to e8. Of course, you have to take in mind that this game was played in 1857, so the theory was not perfect at all. These players were actually developing the chess theory. After this knight takes on e5 move, one of the main moves is to actually pick up this knight. Then in today's theory, white continues with d4, and now black, of course, can take, but this is not the main move. Black usually goes back, and in this position, white can take, with black taking this knight here and having a really nice bishop and a really nice position. But actually white doesn't play that. He plays f4 attacking this knight, and after knight e goes on g4, white has e5, and let's say after bishop b4, a3, bishop a5 and h3. So as you can see, white will retrieve the material and white will have a really nice center and a really nice position. So that's how usually it's played today. But after knight takes on e5, Paul Morphy decided to give this pawn and played rook to e8. We have knight picks up on c6, d takes on c6, and we have a bishop to c4. Game continued with a b5 for Paul Morphy attacking this bishop, and right now in this position a bishop e2 was played. Now, of course, I will now show you after bishop to c4 if you think that this pawn is maybe free. It looks like a free pawn, but it actually isn't, because right now white has this beautiful attack with of course, firstly knight takes on e4, and after rook takes on e4, bishop takes on f7 with a check, and right now you have to go king to h8. If you take this, then queen to f3 and your rook will fall here. So a really dangerous move here after bishop to c4, and right now after b5, white decided to play bishop to e2. Yes, after b5 there was another possibility to put this bishop on b3, but this actually is really bad because black has a really nasty move, this here bishop to g4. You cannot play f3 because this bishop is scoping and this pawn is pinned. You cannot put your pieces back. If you go with your knight back, then this pawn will fall and your knight will be pinned. Unfortunately, you don't have your bishop to pull back. You have to play queen to e1, and of course now black has different possibilities. One of the possibilities is to actually go for b4, attack this knight, and then take this pawn with a really difficult position for white. So you have to be careful. That is the reason why after b5, Louis Paulsen saw this and he played bishop to e2. Finally, he retrieved his knight. Knight takes on e4, knight takes on e4, rook takes on e4, and we have a bishop to f3 here played for white, sorry, a rook to e6 to defend this pawn as well. We have c3 on the board, first huge mistake of the position, and now you need to have a big takeaway from this next Paul Morphy's move. Now, if you wish, you can pause the video and find the best move of this position. It's not a crazy sacrifice, nothing is hanging, but it's a simple positional move that brings black nice advantage. If you found queen to d3, congratulations. The point of this move is that this queen cannot be moved from this square. You cannot play bishop to e2 and remove this queen, and now this bishop will have trouble developing. Now, of course, after c3, if Paul Morphy allowed d4, this would be great for white because you would block this bishop and this bishop would be really active and it would be nice for white. But unfortunately, queen to d3 was played for Paul Morphy. We have b4 attacking this bishop. bishop goes on b6, and right now we have a4 on the board, and now it's getting it can get really nasty here for black if the black is careless. Unfortunately, in this position, Paul Morphy played b to a4. This was a must here. Just wanted to show you that this kind of moves doesn't work, because right now after a takes on b5, you cannot take with this pawn because your rook is hanging, and you also cannot take with this pawn because this is pinned and your rook will fall with this bishop. So it can get difficult. a4, b takes on a4, queen takes on a4, and right now we have a mistake by Paul Morphy in this position, which is bishop to d7. The point is, with this move, this allows white to play queen to a6 and equalize the position. Now computer recommends actually picking up this, and white would have a slightly better endgame here. So the best move after queen to a4 was actually to play bishop b7 and continue the advantage. Now all sorts of threats are coming. You defend this. This rook will be allowed to go on the e file, doubling up these rooks, and black enjoys a really stable and a nice advantage here in this position. But after queen to a4 and bishop to d7, rook to a2 was played for white. Unfortunately, a mistake by Louis Paulsen as well. Now Paul Morphy has rook a to e8, and right now queen to a6 was played for white, but it's a bit too late right now. Why? Because Paul Morphy finds another amazing idea. If you wish, you can again pause the video and find an amazing move by Paul Morphy in this position. If you found beautiful sacrifice, queen to f3, congratulations, because right now after g takes on f3, rook g6 was played, and after king to h1, bishop h3, you probably saw the main threat of Paul Morphy in this position. No, it's not to pick up this rook, but actually let's see if a random move is played. Then bishop g2, king g1, and bishop takes on f3 with a check and a checkmate here on this white king. So this is the main attack, and this is the main threat of this position. So after bishop to h3, now white had different options, and he decided to play rook to d1. We will go back after bishop to h3. Probably the best try for white was to actually play queen to d3. Right now you have to be careful here as black, because you don't want to try the same with bishop to g2 check, because after king to g1 and bishop takes on f3 check, white can sacrifice his queen, and right now you have a bishop pair, yes indeed, but you are exchanged down, and white can play a d4, block your bishop, and continue his play here. White is slightly better with perfect play, of course. Black has for now at least enough compensation, but it is really difficult to play with exchange down and not a concrete plan of the attack. So white has the escape route. After queen to d3, there is another amazing move here that continues the black's advantage, and this is f5. So you want to stop this threat. And now in this position, if you decide to give queen c4 check, now black has this move, king to f8. It is important to go on f8. Why on f8? Because after queen to c4, if you go on h8, then white actually has the same idea here, and if you go bishop to g2 with bishop to f3, white will sacrifice his queen for your rook, and he will be just fine. So you have to be careful. After f5, you can continue, let's say, with a rook to d2, for example. One of the moves, rook to d1, sorry, but then bishop g2 check, king g1, bishop takes on f3 check, king f1, and bishop takes on d1, and with a much better here position for black, of course. You have rook and bishop for a queen, and this king is in a really difficult spot. As you can see, all sorts of threats are coming, and black is much better here. So this was another way to continue, of course. Again, continued with rook to d2. We have bishop to g2 check for Paul Morphy. King goes on g1, bishop takes on f3 check. King goes on f1, and right now Paul Morphy decided to play bishop to g2, which wins as well, but much faster was to actually play rook to g2 in this position. There is nothing here white can do. It's really difficult. So let's say white plays something like rook to e1, then rook to f2 check, king g1, rook takes on e1 check, and after queen to f1, rook picks up on f1 check. Whatever the black does here after rook to g2, and let's say rook to e1, rook to f2, if you go to g1, you even have a different ways of checkmating. Let's say rook to g2 check, and after king to f1, rook to g1 is a checkmate. So all sorts of checkmating threats hanging around. So rook to g2 was slightly faster. After king to f1, bishop to g2 check. How the game continued, of course, king to g1, bishop to h3 check, king to h1, bishop takes on f2. Of course, computer recommends the same old line with putting the bishop g2, bishop f3, and rook to g2. But now, after king to f1, which was played in the game, the only move, bishop takes on f1, rook takes on f1, and right now rook to e2 was played for Paul Morphy. White continued with rook to a1 because you cannot push this pawn since your rook was hanging here. A rook to h6 was played for black with the idea to remove this bishop and then try and threaten a checkmate here with, with this check and then this check. And unfortunately, d4 was the last mistake of the game for white, because after this, bishop e3 was played for Paul Morphy with the idea to checkmate, as I mentioned before, with rook picking up on h2. And right now the only continuation is to actually go with rook to f2, and right now you can go with rook to f2, bishop takes on h3, and rook f takes on h2. Obviously black is winning here because he has an exchange up and a 3 pawns of advantage, so this is a clearly won game for black. So after bishop to a3, this is where Louis Paulsen resigned the game, and this is how this beautiful game ended, guys. The big takeaways, of course, is the main idea of Paul Morphy with this beautiful queen to f3 sacrifice, and this is this main idea with the check here and bishop to f3 checkmate, so spotting tactics. And another amazing idea of the position, of course, was this beautiful queen to d3 move after c3. Always remember to block the position's development, or to block your enemy's pieces from developing when your opponent allows it. So queen to d3 allowed all sorts of threats for Paul Morphy and immediately created a much better position for him. And this is how this beautiful game ended, and this is all I have prepared for you today, guys. If you enjoyed this game, please make sure to leave a comment, like, and share this video with other people who enjoy chess, because this really helps me. Also, if you watch the video until the very end, this really helps with the YouTube algorithm. YouTube will recommend videos that people watch more than the usual, so if you can watch until the very end, it really helps me a lot. Also, if you wish to improve your chess, I am a part of a really nice community. You can check in the video description, of course. And if you have any other comments about this position, if you want to recommend me to choose some other games, I will be more than welcome to, of course, check your comments. I always enjoy reading them. Also, if you wish, another way to support me is to donate to the channel. I have a donation page here, also in the description. This is not obligatory, I will continue making videos, but if you enjoy, it's another way to support me, and your name will be listed in my next and future videos, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see each other on the next day. Have a nice night. Bye bye.